Uh, Peter, do you want to take us on a tour of the agenda?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Good evening, committee members and all others who are joining the meeting. Thank you. Let me just move my screen around a little bit. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. This is the agenda. I'll be flipping back and forth from a couple of other attachments just for presentation purposes. If you'd like, Mr. Chairman, we can go into item 2 if there's any public comment.
I have one person, Dave McManus. Dave, you should be able to talk.
Yes, hi. Good to hear me?
Yes.
Great. So I don't have any specific...
Dave, name and address for the record, please.
Oh, yes, thank you. Dave McManus, 3 Harvest Lane, Littleton. So I'm here tonight on behalf of Littleton Youth Baseball and Softball, who I have the pleasure of being the president of. I don't have any specific comments other than to introduce myself to this committee. I've been, in communications with others around this project. And as you might imagine, our league's interest in this project, most importantly, is around the fields. And kind of in 2 parts, one being the existing fields, which outside of the schools and the students at Shaker Lane, I would say we're the major users of, and our spring season is quickly approaching. So it's our interests are as it relates to the existing fields and their availability, as well as the new fields when those come around to design and ultimate build. So again, I'm here to, observe and potentially comment, but I just thought I would introduce myself up front.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, Kathleen Leonard.
Hi, I'm an abutter at 37 Shaker Lane. And I just wanted to introduce myself. Some of you may already know me. I think several of you do. I'm just going to ask that as you go through the agenda today, if you could keep in mind the abutters and address any of the issues and how it will relate to us. We have not heard anything from anybody since November. So we're very anxious to know how we're being included in all of this. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Well, let me talk to Kathleen's comment. Until we get the designer fully on board, you won't hear anything from anybody, and that's pretty much what this meeting is about, to get project budgets approved. Go ahead, Peter.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess that's moving on. Excuse me. To the agenda, item 3, which is the previous minutes from the February 18th meeting. I will put them on the screen, and I did notice I had a typographical error down here, and I'll zoom in on item 7. I missed a comma and added an extra digit, so I will make that correction with respect to that number. But beyond that, Mr. Chairman and committee members, looking for a motion or edits or any recommendation on the approval of the minutes from February 18th, 2026.
Are there any comments or questions? Go ahead, Steve.
Motion to approve as amended.
Is there a second?
Yep, Kelly, second.
Okay, all in favor? Kelly?
Kelly Clenchey, aye.
Sean?
Sean Ahern, aye.
Steve?
Steve Venuti, aye.
Jim?
Jim Duggan, aye.
And Steve Moore, yes. Motion carries. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I know committee members, we have number 4 is schedule, number 5 is budget, if you don't mind, because number 4 might be a little lengthy in discussion, whereas 5 may not be. If I could go to the budget first.
Go ahead.
I'll scroll over to the presentation with respect to the budget, and give me a minute to use my keyboard. So I did take the budget. Whoops. Excuse me. Zoom in a little bit, zoom out. I did take the budget and I made the edits as mentioned during the last meeting to reflect the values that were mentioned by Mr. Venuti regarding the values that were decreased. I will just quickly scroll to the bottom line and then we can go back. So the revised bottom line in accordance with Mr. Venuti's values that were provided and discussed at the last meeting, in accordance with the town meeting that was approval, the overall project budget is the $99,164,951. I can go through the various areas that were edited. I do have the screenshot that was provided to me from Mr. Venuti if it's helpful. Beyond that, that's the budget update. I did enter, one second, and I don't mean to scroll and make people dizzy, but I'll just scroll up to the top. I did enter in the values that were approved on the notice to proceed values. For example, I will highlight them here. Back in January, there was a 50,000. Why my highlighter's not working, I don't know. But one second. I'm going to do this. I'll do this. $50,000 was approved as a notice to proceed for the OPM back on January 21st. I did add that. Scrolling down, I did the same for the designer during design development, $150,000, again, the January 21st meeting. And then scrolling down, $200,000 for the notice of proceed for the construction manager, also at the January 21st meeting. Those numbers have been added, and as the other contracts, when they get signed, I will execute and enter those values into the budget as well. So beyond that, I did enter also under the designer, the $150,000 invoice that is under consideration for tonight, which is an invoice number 30 from the architect Studio G for services performed during January and February in accordance with the notice to proceed. Those entries, along with those edits that were mentioned, incorporate the revisions to the budget. And I'll stop for a minute, have any questions asked, but I will go to the bottom line if that's helpful. So these are the values at this moment in time. And I open any questions if there are any.
I'll defer to Steve Venuti if you have any questions, Steve.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, for those updates last month. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay, we can always come back to the budget committee members if there's questions that come up during the course of the meeting. I'll go on back to the agenda to item 4 with respect to the schedule. Again, I'll go to my slide deck here. I'll start off with kind of a brief narrative to this screen, and I'll zoom in a little bit. Over the course of the last month or so, the OPM, Turner Townsend Heery, the designer, Studio G, the construction manager, Gil Bain, we've gotten together no less than on a weekly basis, preparing the schedule, preparing what we can do to deliver the project, to get all of us in the queue of how we can prepare a master schedule to deliver the project. We've had several discussions about what the Gilbane team had potentially offered during the interview process as an alternative schedule. We're kicking that idea around. It's still under evaluation at this time about what's the best course. We haven't fully finalized our thinking, but we also want some input from the town, the building committee, and of course, we'll also have a question into the MSBA to make sure some of the options that we are preparing are acceptable to the MSBA as well. So a few things tonight, and if you don't mind, I'm going to call this an open discussion. Nothing is solidified at this moment. We're collecting information, and we want to finalize our thoughts and bring forth to the committee a recommendation at the next building committee meeting, which will be on the 15th of April. So just a few items of discussion, and I'll turn it over to Tripp and John from Gilbane, who can provide some additional information from their perspective as the construction manager, and of course Studio G as well, because they have a lot of activities that have to be incorporated into the schedule, particularly during the design phase. However, I'll zoom in a little bit just to give you some thoughts. These are my quick notes. Again, just quick notes. Some items for discussion as we evaluate the options of which schedule to choose, which alternative schedule to choose. There will be early bid packages to help, I'll use the word, accelerate the project schedule. In other words, get the contractors, some of the trades starting early while the design continues to be finalized. As we build this project, we want to talk about the school's academic calendar as we near the end of the building project. How does that affect the academics of the school? And of course, the school department, with particular attention if we end up going with a particular option known as option 1. We could possibly, again, under evaluation, maybe turn the building over mid-year, finish the project in the fall of 2028, prepare the building for move-in, and potentially, yet to be determined, move the school in over the winter break of December 2028. And then, of course, we want to talk about if there's any influences regarding an early delivery of the schedule. Does it affect the town's bonding or funding capacity with any arrangements they have with the financial matters? I'll stop for a minute. I'll let Tripp from Gilbane and John from Gilbane offer some thoughts on the schedule. We're allowing, or Gilbane is preparing this schedule. So I'm going to let them say a few things, and I'll zoom in a little bit, but I can zoom out and move down the list if you want. I guess before I turn it over to Gilbane, are there any initial questions from the committee?
Sean and Peter.
Yeah, Tripp, I think, why don't you introduce some of your thoughts, and then we can have Studio G offer anything. Then we'll open it up to discussions. Again, open discussion, open thoughts on the considerations here. Thank you.
Peter, can you hear me? All right. I just want to make sure my audio is working. Okay, thank you. You have your hand up. You want to field Sean's question first, or?
I'll let you speak first. I didn't realize you were going to present, so I'll let you do that first. I don't want to ask questions until you've kind of given your chance to speak.
No problem. Thanks, Peter, and good evening, everybody. So as Peter stated, we've been kind of analyzing 3 different options, which are here shown just graphically. Hopefully this is kind of user-friendly just to disseminate the information in a little more easier manner. So there's 3 options working from top down. The first option, which is at the top of this graphic, is the baseline RFP schedule, which still reflects the phase 1 building completion in August of 29 with phase 2 demo and landscaping completion in December of 29. So that's still the baseline RFP schedule. The one update we made as a team to that schedule is just the design deliverable schedule has been updated to reflect the current design schedule. So those blue bars have been updated based on where the project team is at currently. Transitioning down to option 1, which is one of the alternative schedules that we developed over the last couple weeks. The second schedule is essentially our alternative schedule that we developed and presented in our RFP response and interview, but has been updated to reflect the current design schedule. So the logic that we had developed in that alternative schedule remains unchanged. All we're doing is shifting and updating based on where the design development schedule currently lies. Of that option that you see here is that phase 1 building completion.
You're breaking up, Trip.
In November of 28. So it's a few months. I went off video, everybody. Hopefully that may help my connectivity. I apologize.
Yeah.
Help at all or no?
It does.
Can you go back a few words?
Yeah, I apologize, everybody. So again, option 1, this alt schedule was essentially the same alternative schedule we presented at our interview. All we did was update the design deliverable schedule, again, similar to the baseline, to see what the result was with that alternative schedule and logic that also had 2 early bid packages in it. The result of that is that phase 1 new building complete would be November of 28, with the team making the assumption that occupancy most likely would occur during winter break that year, followed by turnover of the existing building to the CM and the rest of the project team in January of 29, which then would support phase 2 demo and landscaping completion in July 29. So that would be earlier than the baseline, but result in a mid-year move, and overall project completion would be about 6 months earlier than the baseline schedule. Now, seeing what that did from a logic perspective and what it yielded, a November completion date of phase 1 is not far off and it's pretty close to an August date. So the team really challenged ourselves on what efficiencies there may be in the logic of the design deliverable schedule. And what we developed and represented in this option is that the next phase of design starts upon submission of the previous design deliverable submitted to the MSBA. And this is in lieu of starting the next phase of design upon MSBA's completion of their review period, which is how the baseline RFP schedule logic was built. It can be seen in option 1 and the baseline schedule. So you now see that there is some overlap and some potential efficiencies with the design deliverable schedule taking that approach. And what that allows us to do with those 2 early bid packages is that it brings back those delivery dates and brings back phase 1 building completion back to that August 28 target date, and then phase 2 demo and landscaping completion in December of 28, essentially, again, that year ahead of schedule or a year ahead of the planned baseline schedule. Those are the 3 options that we've been tackling. But the next steps, as Peter already kind of alluded to, is we're still validating those 2 options, and we have some work still to be done and validated. Again, some acknowledgement from the MSBA that logic approach I explained in option 2 is agreeable, paired with the early bid package approach that we have. So that we have some correspondence with the MSBA. We're awaiting some response and feedback from them. SGA and their consultants, they're validating the design sequence and durations to ensure that as a team it's achievable based on that revised logic. The other big thing that the team has dug into, and we have some follow-up meetings this week and next week, is discuss about the project permitting timeline, and do either one of those alternative options developed allow for sufficient time for deliverables, review, presentation, and approval with the appropriate town boards and commissions, including but not limited to the Conservation, Zoning Board, and Building Department. So that is one thing that we're still working on and is a focus here over the next few weeks ahead of the next committee meeting. And then finally, looking at an all-encompassing cost analysis with each one of these options in comparison to the baseline. So as Peter noted, we still have some work ahead of us. Those are kind of our primary focus points of vetting out these couple options in advance of next month's building committee meeting. So open to questions and comments. I know there was a lot of information there, so feel free.
Yeah, Tripp, this is Steve Moore. At the opening of your statement, you said the design timeline had been revised to reflect the current schedule. Does that mean it changed?
Yeah, some of these design deliverables shifted based on the last update we did with TTH and SGA's schedule, which is reflected here.
And what was the change? How did that affect the original schedule?
Steve, committee members, Mr. Chairman, if I can jump in, Tripp, a little bit. We were anticipating on the master schedule or the baseline schedule during the RFP process with the selection of the construction manager that we would begin the design development stage in January, but we're not really starting it until March. So I think we spoke about this at the last meeting. The only adjustment is about a month or so lag that we once thought we would have, but now we're into the late February, March starting period. So I think that's the adjustment with respect to the schedule. We can still catch up on the quote baseline schedule to meet the September 2029 completion date. So I think what's showing here, and I'll just cloud it real quick, what's showing right here is the design development starting late February, March, as opposed to January, February. That's about the month timeline.
Well, Peter, didn't we give them an NTP in January for design development?
We gave them yes, exactly. We gave that was January 21st, correct. So that's January, February.
We have an invoice from them to review tonight for work done in February and March. Or what is it, January and February? I can't remember. So I'm
January, February,
confused by this start date in March.
Well, it's really middle of February if I zoomed in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the visual.
Yeah, we did all the services did begin January 22nd, the day after the notice to proceed was authorized at the building committee meeting. The design team, Studio G, and ourselves, and the construction manager, we went to work the next day. So we were thinking it would have been earlier in January, but we're just showing here by the time we got up and going, it was a couple weeks later. But yes, there's really no big hiccup in the schedule in accordance with the baseline. We're still okay.
I'm not sure that I totally understand that, but okay.
So,
Peter, could I jump in?
Go ahead,
Gail.
Gail.
Is that Gail?
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to say Studio G was very comfortable as soon as you gave us the notice to proceed. We started, but remember this, I know you know this from public contracting, there's a lot of work to do to get all of the sub-consultants started. So what this reflects is full team has begun. And it really was the end of January that we began.
It would be nice to have the graphic agree with the comment.
Yeah.
I think at this point, Mr. Chairman, committee members, we can open it to discussion unless there's questions about what we're proposing on project schedule options.
Mr. Chairman, Sean has his hand up, please.
Yep. If I could just zoom out for a second. So I discussed a little bit at our last school committee meeting. Just for those that don't know, I'm on school committee. So talked to the rest of the board and obviously Kelly as well and Steve. The feeling I got was that we'd like to have a move-in date that's more reflective of maybe a June or July. So that way teachers have more time to move in. We were worried a little bit about how quickly of a turnaround you'd have for a move-in for Christmas break. Teachers work hard. I don't want to expect them to take their winter break to move in. Certainly, I don't think this is the only reason to do a certain schedule, but just want to bring that up. And I'll leave it to Steve Venuti to speak what the financial implications of a change schedule would be.
Yeah, good point, Sean.
We can take care of the financing, whatever the timeline is, so don't worry about us. We'll be fine.
Okay.
I guess I have a question for both Tripp and for Gail. I mean, option 2 looks very aggressive, but I think it satisfies what Sean was just talking about, moving in August before the school year starts. Gail, have you done a project that aggressive before with MSBA?
With Gilbane, yes.
With Gilbane? Okay.
Yeah.
Makes me feel
yes,
a little better.
I will admit that the first time they proposed the schedule we had for Florence Roach and Groton, I was a little aghast at what it meant for our team because it does load up a fair amount, I will acknowledge. But if this allows the town to save money, which we think it should, I'll leave that part to Tripp to talk about. We think we can do this. It is true that I think we need to make sure that we've got the buy-in from every member of our team. It's not just Studio G that has to buy into this, right? Structural engineer, civil engineer, mechanical, electrical, right? They've all got a part in these early bid packages. So I think we need to finalize that. And then I think critically, we need to hear from the MSBA that whether they will accept this speed, because it does mean that we don't wait until we've gotten all their comments before we move on to the next phase of design. So I do want to
Gail,
clarify
to your point, Gail, did they have the same type of acceleration in Groton, and did MSBA
we
buy
did.
it?
We did, and the MSBA was not thrilled, but what I think is the case, and we're going to have to see what they say, is they're probably seeing a lot of schedules like this being proposed because of the cost of construction. Right, so the longer duration of a public project, the more risk there is of added cost for all those trades.
But this, of course, impacts their cash flow, their projected cash flow.
Right. So that would be the other piece. We didn't hear any issue about that in Florence Roach, but there was a little bit of grumbling about the fact that we moved on to the construction documents phase before we had gotten all their comments. Now, the thing is, they don't really give that many comments on the design documents, which is why we were comfortable doing that. The comments tend to be more regulatory, right? DESI import and so forth.
So, Gail, to your point about sub-consultants buying in, the duration of the different design activities doesn't change. It just starts them a little earlier, right?
We overlap them is what happens effectively. Yeah. So, if we manage this well, if our 3 teams work well together, we can pull this off. This is what we definitely were able to do in Groton.
Right.
And certainly the district appreciated it a lot.
Well, I'm glad that we have both Gilbane and Studio G on this project because it sounds like we're building on success.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
it sounds like as we go back to the work table, Studio G, Turner Townsend, Heary, and Gilbane, after this meeting in the days ahead, is it safe for me to more or less say that a mid-academic year December holiday move period is not preferred and sort of quote off the table, and we are down to 2 of the 3 options? Make it a summer completion so the school department can move in prior to the September academic year start. Is that not necessarily the full decision, but the direction we should lean towards?
Kelly Clancy here. I'm certainly fine with that approach.
Okay. Just trying to whittle down what our options are and focus on what we need to do. If there's 3 of them, that's great. But if there's 2, we can focus on 2 options.
I think we have to go with Kelly's recommendation. Focus on option 3.
Option 2?
I'm sorry, 2. Third one on the list.
Understood. Okay. We're still available, Mr. Chairman, committee members, for any other thoughts, comments, questions.
Any other comments from the committee? I think we can move on then, Peter.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And if something comes up, we can always come back to this. Thank you for that. So we just finished item 4. We talked about item 5. Item 6, just some updates. And we'll talk a little bit. I just typed these in earlier this evening. A couple of updates. I want to talk about, maybe not right now, but we'll talk about the landscape repairs to the athletic fields, because we're currently have a proposal for acceptance of the Studio G Amendment number 9, which authorizes the expenditures of monies for site investigations with their subconsultants. We talked about coming onto the property during the school vacation period, April 20th through the 24th, which is important for the design team to collect data on the site conditions when it comes to geotechnical borings, test pits, things of that nature, so the design team can collect that data. So we're looking to do that again during the April vacation period. And being the spring season, the ground will probably be a little saturated, and I'm sure some of the equipment coming onto the fields will cause some tire ruts or some divots, if you will, as Mr. McManus spoke earlier regarding the athletic fields, and we know the fields are in high use within the community. So we'll need to make sure that whatever repairs need to get done after this investigation during the vacation period, we're able to prepare the fields with some landscaping improvements just to fill in any ruts or divots, and maybe some loam and seed, if you will, to make the field safe for athletic use. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I wanted to bring that up at least as a consideration. I will say I spoke with the DPW Highway Director, Steve Witten. He's directed me to the DPW Director to talk this through, potentially, maybe. I don't have confirmation or full conversation yet with the DPW Director to consider having the DPW staff after hours. We would pay them off the project budget, is my thought here, to have that crew, that DPW crew, who's very familiar with the area, to do those repairs. And if not, we would seek to get a local contractor, landscape contractor, to do the repairs as such. So that's still in the works of which direction to go in and the associated cost. But I want to at least bring that up for your awareness.
So, Peter, the task one in that breakdown for Amendment 9 indicates 1 day of test pitting. How many test pits, and are we confident they'll do that in 1 day?
If I may kind of lean on the design team, Mary Lee or Gail.
Yep. I can answer that.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back up here. Here you go. Sorry.
Yep. So the geotechnical engineers are the ones who are supplying the rigs to do the excavations of the test pits, plus the borings. I believe the number of those is well over a dozen. I'd have to go back and remind myself, but it's quite a few. Not as many test pits as there are borings. But the excavator is scheduled to be there Monday and Tuesday, and also Wednesday, just in case, but they don't expect to have to use that third day. In Samioti's scope, they only need one of those days of excavating. So they're sort of piggybacking onto the geotech equipment while it's there. There is all of these consultants are talking amongst each other because this takes quite a bit of collaboration and planning between them to make sure that they're not duplicating any efforts and they're not leaving anything out. So once they have a final planned set, including all of the exact locations of the test pits and borings, we'll be releasing that for everybody's information.
So who's going to be doing the excavation?
The geoengineers, that's the geotech consultant.
Well, they specifically say excavator fees are the responsibility of the client. So who's doing the excavation? The
Samiotis one says that. So that's covered under geotech. There's not any additional excavation that needs to be done. In the past, they did some testing where they used an excavator from the town, and that's how that was covered in the past. But in this case, geoengineers has confirmed to me that they are providing all the equipment for this round of investigation.
So I'd like to see their proposal revised to reflect that.
I think it's Mary Lee, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind for a second. There are 3 consultants that are in this proposal. One of them is Samiotis, which is the civil engineer, and geotech or geoengineers is doing the geotech.
Oh, got it. Okay.
As Mary Lee, yeah. So rather than getting 2 pieces of equipment in, we're going to have one firm provide the equipment, in both engineering offices work off that one piece of equipment, which is being provided by geoengineers here.
Yes.
Is that correct, Mary Lee?
Yes, that's accurate.
Thank you.
Thanks for the clarification.
Sure. Okay. If you don't mind, I'll go back to here. So we can go back and forth a little bit. So committee members, that was a quick update from my end with respect to item 6 on the agenda. I'll move it on to the design team, Studio G, Mary Lee, and then Gilbane, any updates. Mary Lee, I just threw in that meeting date you put in here, and you can also talk about other things.
Yeah, okay. So I know you have further down in the agenda project meetings, but I think it'll be more efficient if I just tell you about all of the activities we've been working on since the last SBC meeting. So we've been kicking off with all of our consultants. We're talking with civil, structural, mechanical, electrical, landscape, and lead sustainability consultants. We had a food service meeting with Littleton Public Schools food service staff, and we have a follow-up meeting in the works. We had a big security meeting with town departments, which included police and fire, plus district tech personnel. There are a few follow-up meetings coming out of that as well. For very specifically on design, we are having a series of meeting days where we are doing teacher and staff focus groups, where we are meeting with each department in the school to do some detailed space planning. We actually have one of those days today. It was a great day, a lot of fun, a lot of very productive meetings. We have another one lined up tomorrow, and then a third one on Monday. Coming up, we have Samiotis is scheduling to begin their survey beginning next week. We have our acoustic engineer who is going to be doing an ambient noise survey to figure out how loud the site is right now, which will help our mechanical engineers choose the rooftop equipment to make sure it's not too loud. We will be scheduling for next week and the following week meetings to talk specifically about playgrounds and playfields, and we intend to involve Dave McManus in those discussions. Obviously, we have the site explorations coming up. The disciplines that affects is civil, geotechnical, geoenvironmental, and it also helps landscape and structural and mechanical. So there's a lot of crucial information coming out of that site exploration. And then as well as that, we are coordinating the permitting timeline with Samiotis and Gilbane, looking ahead at how that's going to work with the DD phase and the CDs phase. And there is some potential discussion that we might need to do some sort of traffic study. We'll know more about that after we have that meeting with them, and then we'll be getting a proposal from our traffic consultant in case we do end up needing that. So a lot of stuff. Anybody have any questions on those activities?
Mary Lee, do you want to touch upon geothermal?
Yep. Oh, thank you. Geothermal. Yes. So one of the other site explorations we're doing is geothermal. They are doing one test well that will ultimately become part of the full geothermal well field. We are putting it as far away from the baseball diamonds as possible, trying to disturb the site as little as possible. But basically what that looks like is they'll come in at the beginning of April break week. They have a big rig that drills the well, and then they run the pipe and they do the concrete in the pipe, and then the rig leaves. And so all we have then is the well, which has a cover to it that's maybe 6 feet by 6 feet. And then they have a truck there for 4 to 5 more days while they run the actual testing itself. Then when the testing is complete, the truck leaves, the well is safely closed off so that nobody is coming up to it and messing with it, but it's capped. It's just a small thing on the ground out of the way. And then we will have that information for the geothermal so we can incorporate it into our mechanical equipment drawings.
Just out of curiosity, how deep is the well?
I think they're going down 550 feet, I want to say, if my memory serves me right.
Okay. Then what, they fill it with what, bentonite or something?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I could add, Mary Lee, and just maybe for general information, these activities during the school vacation week will be done during normal business hours. So with regards to the community or the abutters, they will probably see this activity during the day. And then after the school vacation week, it'll go away. We may be back there a day or two after the vacation week if there's any landscaping repairs to do, but that'll be the extent of, let's just say, construction operations to some extent that the abutters may hear or see that is not normal by today's standards. But then it'll dissipate, and we'll be certainly outreaching to the community and the abutters as the design continues to develop and we get more activities underway. We'll schedule meetings.
Are there any Corey considerations required for the activities over the April spring break?
I don't. Go ahead. Somebody else. Go ahead.
Kelly, and this may not be the right time. I do have a question about field use during that break. I know baseball their season is starting. Am I to assume that one of those fields would not be usable during that week, or both of those fields?
During the week itself, We expect the field to not be usable. I know there is an event on Saturday, the 25th, which is mainly going to be using the lower field. That field should be fully online at that time. The only thing happening down there is we'll have a truck in the bottom right corner of the lower field monitoring that well during the testing period.
So
after
that field would be safe to use then, or no?
Say that again?
That field would be safe to use during that week?
Yes, yes.
Perfect.
Yep, and so then the upper field, after we get the landscape company to come and do the final repairs, then those fields would be playable. And we are trying to get that scheduled to take place in the week following April break. We're also making sure that while the truck is in place, it's not impeding traffic flow of the way that people come from the parking lot and access the upper field.
All right, thank you.
So going back to my question, are there any Corey requirements for these activities?
Steve, for the week of April vacation, I don't believe there are core requirements. Students are not in school.
Okay, just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, and then we're working on procedures. Once the construction starts, we'll get Corey's involved for anybody that we need to.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. Again, we can come back to any questions that might surface as we move down the agenda.
Trip has a question.
Thanks, Mark. Sorry, Peter.
I didn't see your hand. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Just following up on the Corey, that just reminded me. Can we start that process at least for our team in the event that we are on site outside of a school vacation or vacation day?
Yes, Trip. I'll contact you and we'll get that procedure going.
Great. Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Steve, Mark, just a quick heads up. I had some conversations recently with Mr. Alex Richards regarding Corey, so we can circle together and get that procedure identified.
Yep, perfect.
Thank you. Okay, again, moving down the list of the agenda, Gilbane team, anything new to add? Updates, I think you've offered quite a bit, but another opportunity if you wanted to add anything else.
Nothing additional, Peter, other than both what you and Mary Lee outlined. We're just supporting the team going through that. Now that we're all on board, we're getting engaged with the consultants with Studio G, and again, the items that Mary Lee highlighted are going to be our focus here in the coming weeks, especially around permitting and coordinating with the rest of their consultants.
Very good. Next item was just 6D, an opportunity for anybody from the town of Littleton or the building committee to offer any updates that we're not aware of for informational purposes. I guess there's
we're good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving down, item 7A, just wanted to let the committee know that the project funding agreement has been executed. The town sent it through the town administrator's office, signed it some time ago. The MSBA has reviewed it and sent it back. So that item is closed. The project funding agreement between the town and the MSBA is fully executed. Just an update for you there. Also, for consideration tonight, there's two, well, in particular, one contract amendment for Studio G, contract amendment number 9. I'll put it up here on the screen. It's for the services that we've just been talking about here. It's down to the amount, I'll zoom in a little bit, $492,556. That is for the services, reimbursable services by the Studio G sub-consultants to do the services we just mentioned. For example, the geotech boring, the test pits, the permitting phase, and things of that nature that are listed here. This was recently sent on to the Financial Working Group for their review and consideration. I know it was rather last minute, so there wasn't necessarily a great amount of time for the financial working group to evaluate it in deep detail. We, as the OPM, have reviewed it. We do recommend support of this amendment based on our evaluation and discussions with the design team. These services are necessary. They are incorporated into the overall project budget, as are the reflected cost for those services at this time. It is somewhat, I will say, it is, I guess, urgent that we more or less accept or recommend to some degree these services so the design team can get underway with those services during the school vacation period to collect the necessary data and soil conditions and site conditions to incorporate into the design, which is essentially, lack of a better word, step one, quite frankly, for the design team to get underway, and also helps with establishing the permitting process and collecting some of that information as well. So that is one of the items here, going back to the agenda. Item 7B, consideration for approval of Studio G contract amendment number 9. Whoops, excuse me. Where'd it go? I just lost it. In the amount of, I'm sorry, I'm over here, this screen. In the amount of $492,556 for the services listed here in this amendment. I will stop if anybody has any questions, or if the Studio G team wants to offer any additional comment.
So, Peter, I'm just going to make one comment. In order to support option 2 for the early delivery of the project, it's imperative that we approve this amendment tonight.
I would agree with that comment, Mr. Chairman. I will go to the cover letter. So.
And I have reviewed all the items in the proposal, and they're all there's a lot of work there, and it's all necessary, and it's well, enough said. Just a lot of work.
Steve, I'll make a motion. We approve the amendment 9, is it?
Yes.
Yep. $492,556.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kelly?
Kelly Clenchey, yes.
Sean?
Sean Ahern, yes.
Steve Venuti?
Steve Venuti, yes.
Jim Duggan?
Jim Duggan, aye.
And Steve Moore, yes. Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you very much, committee members. Appreciate the conversation and approval. The other one I want to just mention, the last meeting we had, we moved forward with approving the Studio G amendment number 8 based on their services, which I have here on the screen. Also, just for backup information, this was their continuation of their contract design services as listed here for the balance of the project, which is the design development phase, construction documents, bid and award, construction administration, and closeout. And that number was approved at $8.3 million, with $150,000 set aside as, quote, additional services as an allowance. As that was approved during last month's meeting, there was a conversation about, hey, what happened to Amendment 7? Amendment 7 was a cleanup, quote, I'll use the word housekeeping for lack of a better phrase, of the services that were conducted during the feasibility and schematic design phase of the project prior to town vote. I will quickly summarize to say that the design team had a series of additional services as reimbursable, which is standard operating procedure, during that phase. And those services totaled $145,274 right here. That was the 6 amendments. And that was sort of on a time and materials basis. As it turned out, the design team and their consultants did not necessarily need to spend the entire $145,000. they spent 130,000, which is shown right here. So what ends up becoming is Amendment 7 becomes a credit or a return of unused funds in the amount of $15,227. And that is shown essentially right here. This is kind of the attachment F, MSBA schedule of contract amendments that we fill in. So the amount there was the negative 15,227, which ended up resulting down here, right there, the total amendments to date on the contract at the time. So again, just kind of a housekeeping thing. I think we all were aware of some adjustments to the designer's fee during that phase, and this cleans it up now that all the numbers have been reconciled against one another in a cleanup. So I just wanted to mention that as well, because it was discussed a month ago at the last meeting.
So we need a vote to approve this.
I guess it wouldn't hurt, Mr. Chairman. Officially, it would be beneficial. I would say yes.
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve the credit?
Well, just one question, Steve, before we move on.
Go ahead.
Peter, did we expend the 145 and we're going to get money back or credit against the future bill? How's that working?
It was never spent. It was approved, but the invoices did not accumulate to 145. They only accumulated to 130.
Okay.
So in other words, they
paid out
bill,
130.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they will bill 145 and then give us a credit for 15. Is that correct?
No, just not quite, Mr. Chairman. The paperwork contract amendments had a total sum of 145,274. The invoicing that was submitted and approved by Studio G only amounted to 130,000. This is a paperwork credit. There's no quote monies being returned. It's just a reduction in their initial fee or their fees.
Housekeeping
Contract. Thank you, Jim.
If I can jump in, this is to make sure that your accounting of this project and our accounting of this project are aligned. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Unencumbered.
Okay.
Motion to accept.
To approve.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Kelly?
Kelly Clenchey, yes.
Sean?
John Ahern, yes.
Steve Venuti?
Stephen Moody, yes.
Jim Duggan?
Jim Duggan, yes.
And Steve Moore, yes. Motion carries. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the patience and on that item as we went through it. Wanted to get the math right and the paperwork right. So appreciate that. Okay, moving down the list. Item 8, just a placeholder. If there's any previous business, I didn't have anything recorded. If I missed something, it's an opportunity for others to chime in if there's something previous that needs to be discussed. If not, number 9, any new business, opportunity for any new business or other general discussion. Number 10 is just informational. We've been meeting, as mentioned here, between the OPM designer and construction manager on a weekly basis, sometimes more than a week, twice a week. And just as Mary Lee mentioned, there was a meeting on the 13th of March for the building site and security with their consultant. It was a good meeting, a lot of attendees and some good questions, and there'll be a follow-up to some of that discussion.
Just a question, Peter. Has the building commissioner been invited to these meetings?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Fontaine, yes.
Yep.
Project invoices, there's one, as mentioned, Studio G, invoice number 30 in the amount of the 150,000 that was pre-authorized during the notice to proceed. I have it right here for those who haven't seen it. Oops, I'll zoom out. This is a kind of a cover letter that the OPM puts on just to tell everybody what it is. And then here's the invoice itself from Studio G, right over here, and then I'm out. back to the agenda. Looking for any discussions, comments, or a motion to consider approval.
I'll move to approve Studio G invoice 30 for 150,000.
Second,
Okay, all in favor? Kelly,
Ellie Clancy, yes.
Sean,
John Ahern, yes.
Steve,
Steve Venuti, yes.
Jim,
Jim Duggan, yes.
and Steve Moore, yes. Motion carries.
Great. Thank you very much on that item. Item 12, nothing that I have that business wasn't reasonably anticipated. And then just number 13 is the next 3 meeting dates, 15th, 20th, and 17th as shown, April, May, June. Mr. Chairman, committee members, that's what I have for presentation information this evening.
So Peter
That's
is
great. Any comments or?
I'd have one, Steve. Peter,
ahead.
is the decision on which option going to be recommended on April 15th?
I would say yes. I'm going to be leaning, we're all going to be leaning on each other, we being the designer, OPM, and construction manager, to make sure we can deliver option, let me go back there, just
Two.
for purposes, option 2, which is right here. Again, we have to come back with all the things we need to do to deliver a project, which will be delivered, the move-in August of 2028. We'll be looking to have the committee give a nod of approval that we are okay to move in that direction, that we can deliver the project essentially a year earlier than what we initially anticipated.
I think Kelly has voiced his opinion on that. It's really up to the MSBA at this point, right? In Studio G.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do to get there, but in the early stages, yes. That's why we want to make sure we double check ourselves that we can pull it off and don't overpromise and under-deliver for sure. We don't want that. So, Mr. Venuti, yes, that's what will be on the agenda for further discussion and recommendation at the next meeting, that we can truly, comfortably, confidently deliver option 2.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, then, moment we've all been waiting for, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Will we adjourn?
Okay, I think that's unanimous. Thank you, everyone.